All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream here on twitch.tv/DDO stream, youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons/live, and facebook.com/DDO Unlimited. I am DDO's Community Manager Cordovan, and welcome and thank you for being here. With me also is executive producer Severlin. How you doing?
I'm awesome.
And we're here to just kind of answer a few questions, do a little Q&A with folks. And we are on an internal server here just for a little bit while we do that. So if you've got a question for Severlin, he's actually got a lunch meeting thing he has to go to in a little bit here, but we've got, you know, about 10 minutes or so just to kind of do a bit of Q&A. So if you have some Q, we will do our best to give you an A. Hey, Druid's Fire, Z332, Forehand, Doot Murdoch, Darkhaven Brave. Will there be a tattered cloak?
Am I just going to start answering?
If you want to.
Eventually. The cloaks have the capability of coming, of not being full length and coming in different sizes and shapes.
And this is one of the current kind of tattered cloaks we have. Now, I should mention that the art is not 100% final on some of this stuff. It's in progress, so some of the detail on that may be missing on a few of the cloaks, but
that's
for the most part, it is very white.
You're very glowy.
I think we might be working a little bit on further tattering it, but that's the current state of it.
So, to answer some questions I saw online, cloaks aren't something that's attached to your armor. The cloaks in-game will have, any new cloaks that drop for randomized loot will have a random appearance, and then the name cloaks will have a static appearance in terms of how they appear on your character. You'll be able to get a cloak that has no appearance and put it into our glamoring slot, so that you can use whatever cloak you want. You don't have to worry that the cloak is ugly, but the stats are good.
Yep.
And you'll be able to hide your cloak by just basically using the Mirror of Glamoring on an invisible cloak and slotting that.
Yeah. Will we be able to cosmetic the cloak? Yes, Mirror Glamoring is absolutely possible. Are we going to update the Evening Star Challenge cloaks or the Caneth items that are still +6 stats? This would be a cosmetic adjustment more than a numbers adjustment on the named loot.
Right.
So that's not going to change. That's something we might want to do in the future, but that's not really a part of this particular effort here.
Also, I believe that many of the cloaks already in-game will continue having no appearance, and that you'll have to go and hunt out new cloaks in order to get the appearance available.
I don't know, Flame Knight, what happens if you have a cloak on with Reaper wings. I don't know. Do you know the answer to that?
It'll probably clip through.
Yeah, I would think so.
The particle effect will just clip through the cloak. So that would be a hard decision to make. Eventually we can relook at Reaper wings, because positioning them to be further out might be possible, but you probably will just want to use an invisible cloak if you are so awesome that you have Reaper wings.
Yeah. Yeah, you can unequip this if you don't want it on there. I don't think we have a, what do they call, a paper doll toggle like we do for helmets armor, do we?
I'd have to look.
Yeah, I'd have to look. I'm not sure on that one myself. So yes, you will be able to hide the cloak by, at the very least, not equipping it into your cosmetic slot. And there may be other ways as well. Like I say, I'm just kind of trying out a few of the cloaks here to give people a sense. Like I say, some of this isn't actually hooked up yet, so that's why.
Also, what you just said isn't entirely accurate.
Uh-oh.
If you don't put in a cosmetic, your default cloak will come through. You'd have to actually have a invisible cloak to put in that slot to hide it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Well, cloaks work like goggles where everyone has an appearance and is toggleable. Yeah, like we were just talking about that. Well, there is going to be a way to display or not display your cloak.
Right.
Yeah. The current target date for this is update 40-ish, right? We're kind of looking at. So some of this is, you know, some of your questions regarding how exactly it'll be toggled on and off is, it's just not really there yet, you know. What about sides? The big scythe weapons. That'd be pretty fun. Yeah. This is a general Q&A. If you got something kind of not related to the thing, what you might be seeing on the stream, that's perfectly fine.
Sure.
Can we make past live feeds account-based rather than character-based? That's a suggestion we've seen occasionally, but I just really don't see us probably doing that. Yeah.
We would keep it character-based to allow for each character to have that progression.
What about quivers? Any chance we could ever have visible quivers now that we have this kind of tech here?
There is a chance that we could have something sitting in the quiver slot as well.
Cool. We pop on over to Facebook, see if we got any questions there. Any hopes on expanding Eberron? Yes. Sharn. Actually, you did mention Sharn. But yeah, Sharn's going to be our next big expansion in Eberron, and that's targeting next year.
Yep.
And that is going to be pretty cool. I'm trying to jump off a few things so you can kind of see some of the animation work. I don't want to get too inside baseball, but my understanding is that we really have an animator willing to do a lot of work in order to bring capes into existence. You know, for years it was kind of said that, you know, we'd like to do capes, but it would be a lot of, just a huge amount of work. I guess we found someone who was willing to do all that work, huh?
It was a huge amount of work.
Yeah.
Props to our animator who worked on it, but also props to our technical artists because they have a lot of tools now that help propagate the animations.
Yeah.
And the Cloak Bones, if I understand the terminology right, to move it from race to race.
Now, I heard we're essentially looking at, like, almost 400 animations per avatar, and an avatar would be a race plus a gender, so you'd have, you know, human male, human female are two different avatars, so you're looking at, like, almost 400 animations per one of those.
Yeah,
so that's a lot of work. Yeah. You can see it kind of flaps in the wind as you're falling down. When will the falconry tree be available to unlock and or purchase as a standalone? The purchase through the DDO store as a standalone is yet to be determined. We need to talk to the e-commerce team to kind of make sure when that would be. I don't know. Have you heard about when we're doing the character unlock on falconry, like by per favor?
3 months is usually our target date. So that if that doesn't happen in our 40, then we definitely want to do it for 41.
Yeah. Yeah. What about patch 2, 39 patch 2, the one that we kind of hinted about but then went silent on? We're kind of having some technical issues behind the scenes that has delayed patch 2. And at this point, we're kind of considering whether or not we should just roll that work into our next larger update, but we're working on it.
Essentially,
we'll
we're
have
doing
more info there.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of behind-the-work scenes on our database to make them more efficient, and character copy seems to only be working on certain machines, and we don't know why. And we desperately need character copy to test some of the versioning things, and that's the holdup.
Yeah, exactly. What about a larger avatar looks update, like new faces, new hair, that kind of thing?
One of the problems with having an avatar update that's straight up avatar update is that the players who like their characters as they are can feel left out. So rather than trying to update the avatars in place, if it's a normal race, we try to add a variant race. So for instance, we're working on wood elves that are right around the corner, and the wood elf will give anyone who doesn't like the look of the normal elves an opportunity to move to a race that might look different. Maybe one might even say better, but I don't want to say better because people may like the look of their characters that have been around 12 years.
Yeah.
The only two races that are universally hated in DDO and that I would have no problem about changing in place are half elves and purple dragon knights. Those are the two. Those are the two that I'm sure that when we fix them, and they are slated to be fixed, that there will be so few people that will complain about the old looks we're pretty confident that's probably going to be okay.
And I'm going to be one of those complaining about the purple dragon knight. I like the way the purple dragon knights look. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
They look awesome.
Well, if there's, like if we do the purple dragon knight and there's a big outcry, we would hopefully try to keep a way to have the old ones in game somehow.
Well, I'm sure we'd make it better.
Right. But like for
I
elf,
would be a little sad.
For the people who want a different looking elf, a better looking elf, with more modern animations where they're not slouching as much, the wood elf will be coming out soon-ish. And so that the people can basically have their characters as wood elves rather than the normal Eberron elves. And then the people who like the current elves don't have to swap out. They can keep their characters that they love for how many years.
PDK look like the Masters of the Universe toys from the 1980s. You're not entirely wrong about that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Can I show what a jeweled cloak looks like? Sorry, Titan, I don't think I can because I don't have it in my inventory right now. Some of the we're in the process of hooking up looks to the named armor. So as you saw, even when I was scrolling through the cloaks I had available, some of them didn't have cosmetics hooked up to them yet. So, is DDO getting a Sharn expansion? Yes, MLG DDO Gamer. We, over at Gen Con, announced that we are doing a DDO expansion into Sharn that'll be coming in 2019, and it'll be an expansion.
City of Towers, do that high society stuff at the top, and the low society stuff for those people with friends in low places down at the bottom. Go into the cogs. It'll be fun.
Yeah. I don't know if the Ravenloft cloaks are... Do you know about any chance if the Ravenloft cloaks are hooked up?
No, I don't think yet.
Yeah,
I don't think they are yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And I'd have to go and ask Art what they did to the Cloak of Invisibility.
Yeah.
It might just be like it has no cosmetic, and that's always... That was a convenient way for you to get something that can turn cloaks off.
Someone had suggested what do they look like in their sneak mode. Here we go.
I know everybody wants to see them in sneak mode. I don't think that we did a special wrap the cloak around in stealth like someone was suggesting, although I do love that idea.
It's not like clip them through though, at least on this particular human avatar.
No, they went through and fixed as much of that as they could.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Nice. Is Wood Elf going to have an iconic? Have we thought about that at all?
No, because Wood Elf is a racial variant, so it's not... It's cool, but it's not meant to be a full race. Tiefling will have an iconic when we do that with Sharn, but Wood Elf won't. One of the reasons is for the racial variants, we want to keep the costs down in terms of system. So we want to provide that as a vehicle for sort of revamping the look of races without current players feeling like the rug was pulled out from them. So we don't want to dedicate tons of system work to it. So the Wood Elf tree, for instance, is largely the same with the Dragon Mark row changed out and some different stats.
Okay. The other piece that's worth mentioning about cloaks here is that Random Gen does have them included. Let me see if I can actually create some. And my understanding is that... Oops. The way they look actually is adjusted based on what your level is, or the level of the item is. Is that correct?
Well, they're randomly generated. The looks are randomly generated from sort of a pre-select of standard cloaks heraldry. So I think there's like a 4-quarter cloak that has 2 colors, like checkered, and then there's ones with certain borders. But I haven't seen the final list of all of the looks that we added to random cloaks. But one of the things you'll be able to do is you'll want to check your cloaks as you pick them up in random loot, because they'll have a wide variety of looks.
Unfortunately, I don't think I'm getting... I'm trying to get some Random Gen cloaks on my avatar here, because they do have some things worth looking at. I don't know if I'm able to do it here, though. Let's see. Ah, cool. There we go. Fortunately, I have to just kind of randomly spawn some loot until I see one.
Did you get it?
Unfortunately, all my inventory slots are full.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Because you're just like our DDO players.
Well, I was also generating a lot of stuff. You're not wrong.
I'm glad you're providing an authentic experience where you're running around and all of your slots are full.
All right, let me actually drop all my gear here and then make this work. So what I'm just doing here is just randomly generating items until I get a cloak. Sorry, it'll take me just a second here. There we go. There's a cloak, and you can see they have different looks on.
Did you get the bullseye one?
I know I haven't, although I still think that's like the best idea for a bullseye on our chest. Or on the back, yeah. Fortunately, my random gen luck is not hitting with me too much. All right, you actually have, like I say, a meeting you need to get off to. So let us see what any final questions. What about that old Travelarium? Any thoughts about what we might ever do with that?
The Travelarium did not provide the game experience we had hoped, so we basically put it on the side, and we'll have not got back to it. Right now, we're concentrating on getting out U40 because we have both race variant cloaks and a raid, and then after that, we'll be doing Sharn. So I don't think that we can even look at the Travelarium until Sharn is out.
Yeah, makes sense. We have actually looked at the thought of having Eberron house-themed cloaks. I would not be surprised at all if we ended up doing something along those lines in the future.
Yeah, I mean, for the future, we want to have cloaks, you know, as a variety of rewards. Favor rewards or, you know, specific looks on dropped loot and all that kind of cool stuff.
Yeah. So I wanted to know what they look like on the front. They actually have a front look similar to the back look that comes through. All right. I think we're going to wrap it up here then. Thank you very much for joining me here today. I really appreciate it. Yep. All right. And I am going to be heading to the live server here in just a second. Ah, that's mine. There we go. All right. Let me actually... Unless people have any kind of last-minute requests. Oh, yeah, what's the weekend bonus? I'll get you that as I'm swapping servers here. I am heading to Kyber. That's where I am going. I have an epic-level character on Kyber that I will be logging into in just a second. So if you have an epic-level character on Kyber, let me know, and I'll see if we can't get you into my group. If you like to die, join my group. Alright, the bonus is... a recruitment week. Buddy XP plus 10% and Guild XP plus 50%. So that means this doesn't apply to raid groups, this applies to parties. You will get plus 10% XP for every member in your party other than yourself, kicking off on Thursday and running a full week long until the next Thursday bonus. Additionally, we have Guild XP, but that's actually Guild Renown, so whatever you want to call it. Plus 50% Guild Renown, and that also, both of those bonuses kick off on Thursday and run it through the week. I don't think hirelings have ever counted on that, have they? I don't think hirelings count. Unless I'm wrong, and they do. Will we have hooded cloaks? That is something we could potentially do in the future. It's going to take a little bit of, you know, work to kind of make sure it looks good with hats and things like that, but theoretically we could. Yeah, hirelings don't. Yeah, it's likely the wings will just kind of clip through because they're on a separate kind of graphic channel. but, you know, you've got your wings on, you've got a cloak on. Make a choice. I don't think it's been decided what exactly the Tiefling Iconic class will be. We have several options from which to choose. Having Larafay in the party should give plus 100% XP. That's funny. Let the Iconic be a sorcerer and call it done. Perhaps. When will update 40 hit live? The intention is to have it out October-ish. And 41 is shown, right? No Zero Cool, they should not impact game performance at all. They're a client-side thing. At this point, we're pretty happy. Brian101 says for class pass lives, we should offer additional bonuses like, say, an action point for universal trees. That's an interesting idea, but I think we're pretty happy with the bonuses given for class pass lives at the moment. Welcome, welcome. Yes, I'm back on the live server. The cloaks you saw just a little bit ago were on our internal development. Oh, actually, it was an internal QA server. So the cloaks are not yet visible on live. Okay. If you're only 20, yeah, you probably aren't gonna want to run this stuff. Sorry. Well, I mean, it's up to you. If you're welcome, as long as you can get in, you're welcome to die along with me. But, Alright, let's do Another Man's Treasure. Everyone's going to be getting cloaks when that hits live? Probably. I mean, you know, not everyone's going to want cloaks, but I sure as heck do. So Kuzka 90, so we need to wait 2 months for melee survivability. Well, we'll see, we'll see. You know, as Sev was saying, we need to be able to test what's called versioning before we can bring out patch 2. And right now we can't do that testing due to some kind of internal work that's going on. Actually, let me lower my graphic settings just a wee bit. I had it set to ultra high because I was putting together that YouTube video yesterday. But when I'm streaming, ultra high tends to be a little bit too much for the computer that I'm using. Let's see if I've got a hireling here. Oh man, I'm almost out of inventory. I need to start dealing with this stuff. Alright, let me get a Garrett here. For the heroes. But if we can't get it done in time, then we'll probably get it for update 40, because that's really not that long from now. Just saw a curious system of reincarnations in another game where you can trade 50 reincarnations for 1 Ascension. Of course, it erases your reincarnation in charge. I don't know what that means. Sorry. I guess I would have to know a whole lot more about what specifically that is. And it might well be that some other games are like, yeah, I want to do what DDO does. So. Inflame. What? Man, I'm the worst at swimming. I'm the worst at swimming. Yep. Can I say, here's one of my moments of shame. Other than than using a hireling to kind of heal me up while I'm going along underwater, have never successfully completed the Crucible swim. It's true. I've done it, like I said, when you can just have a hireling kind of heal you up, but that doesn't really count. It's kind of cheap. Who's ready for some no points in con drow action? Are you talking about this character is actually not a drow? This character is a human, or maybe you're talking about your stream, Samus. Do you don't play a drow though? I can't imagine you ever playing a drow. Oh, on your stream? You're playing a drow? Samus Garobo is playing a drow? I'm so proud of you. Yeah. You lost a bet with a viewer dice. Now that's funny. Yeah. No, I love drow. Trust me, I am a big drow supporter. I've been a drow supporter since '07. But I've also received a lot of crap from people for liking drow.
If you go this way, you'll need to find another way.
Actually, I'm going to lower my graphics just a smidge more.
A warforge stands on an island surrounded by bubbling acid. Oddly enough, the warforge has a crystal embedded in its chest. A troglodyte and its entourage stand over piles of cobalt volatiles. Ancient herbs, evil greed in its eyes. The green crystal mounted in the chest of the warforged shatters, opening the green barrier.
Yay! I don't think we're ready to talk about like the stat bonuses on tieflings and all that sort of thing. I would say that they're largely going to be based, I believe, on 5th Ed tieflings, but I could be mistaken. Do I have... Come on, I've got a mukbang, don't I? Nope.
The walls shimmer softly, then fade into invisibility. The only thing left visible is the lever in the center of the room.
Man, Cookie Kobold is to blame for this.
Pulling the lever and the invisible maze dims the yellow crystal, which surely must open the yellow barrier. The final crystal goes dark and the last barrier fades away. Now, to get to the bottom of this mystery.
Nice. Okay. This is what happens when a QI guy gets a hold of World Builder. You're not wrong. Yeah. Oops. Oh, it just ports us out of the maze. Okay.
Beyond the large doors is a disorganized but functional wizard's workshop. Objects and creatures are scattered around, transmuted into shining platinum.
What about Scion? No news to report on Scion? The idea of adding psionics to DDO has come up fairly regularly. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't do it someday, but it's certainly not on our short-term agenda. I think the main challenge with psionics is to make them interesting and compelling in a way that differentiates them, shall we say, from regular spells. Like, why add a whole new system of psionics if they're essentially just going to be another version of spells, you know?
3-dimension doors stand before a trio of glyphs on the wall. The glyphs represent locks that must be opened to reveal the way forward.
No, Kuzka 90. That has no bearing on any reality I've heard.
Answering the final riddle correctly has opened the purple lock. Your body becomes heavy as you step into the room, as though some kind of magical force is keeping you down. Completing the tile puzzle opens the blue lock.
Yeah, I love floor puzzles too. It's actually pretty fun. I would actually play like a floor puzzle mobile mini game myself, or something like that.
The lever is pulled. The glowing sigil fades. The orange lock has been opened. The 3 arcane locks are now open.
Okay.
There's a deep rumble somewhere in the complex as
Let
the
me head back
passage to
then.
the madman in charge opens.
Let's see. I missed a bunch of chat. Sorry about that. Awesome. Is there a reason why a great red dragon of the Underdark is currently a white dragon? That sounds like a bug to me. In White Plume Mountain Quest, where the slippery walkway, is there a reason that the spiked boots that make you immune to said surface does not work? It's because, I mean, technically it's because they're a special property. I would, but you're right, maybe the spiked boots should work. Will it be possible to choose not to show cloaks like helmets? Yeah, there will be some way in which to not display your cloak. You have that maze memorized already? That's great.
The renegade
Someday, maybe.
casts a spell, causing the nearby platinum guardians to attack.
I need to get a better weapon on this guy. His weapon's way outdated. I'm using Nightmare, which is, you know, at this stage of the game, way outdated. So I just haven't really done the work to upgrade his gear to level 30. Probably get something like Thunder Forged. Not even Thunder Forged. Actually, you know what? I've been in Barovia. Where's that? It's not actually true, Craig RPH. When I'm on my play characters, I have no further admin privileges than anyone else, and that's deliberate, right? So I can't create myself gear and stuff on my play characters. It's the same, I play by the same rules as everyone else.
You've thwarted the transmutation. But the wizard now vows to destroy the entire city. There must be a way to stop him. Storm Reach is safe again.
Ooh, that's not
And the
terrible.
mad
Got
transmitter
Zephyr.
got a taste of his own medicine.
And actually, Smoldering Bastard Sword, huh? It's not bad for this character either. Check that sucker out. No, ML24. Not useful. What about crafting? Man, I spent a lot of time last weekend crafting on Thelanis. My character, my main crafter on Thelanis is still only 120 something, but yeah, sure. Let's do memory lapse here. What world and level next week? So if I recall, this is week 2 on Kyber.
Like a vast library, though broken book
That would be
pieces and
Orion
scattered
then.
papers suggest
And
something has
my
gone
character on
very
Orion
wrong.
is...
Perhaps Terra Fenrith can explain what's going on. You need to help Terrans.
my character on Orion is mid-teens, I
Find
think?
books in his memory
Mid-upper
library
teens?
that
Something
will
like
help
that?
him deliver his address.
Any chance we could see an achievement system in the game? That's come up periodically as something to perhaps do, but it's not really something we've pursued. I mean, we kind of have like a title system or things like that might be kind of fun. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe someday. We'll see.
Countless books and papers are crammed.
Yeah, I
Every
am aware
corner of
that
the dimly
my
lit
DDO
stacks
screen might be looking a little on the
some effort
pixelated side.
find
I
a
don't have an
particular
answer as to
book in
why
this
that is.
labyrinth of learning.
My current working theory is that when XSplit updated the week prior, that perhaps something changed there. The other thing is I am at 1080, so let me... I can't kick it down when I'm on the stream here. So for next week I'll try kicking it back down to 720, see if that makes a difference.
And just how many books surround you on every side. You can't help but feel overwhelmed by the crushing details. You've found a book that can be used in speech. Something slumbers in the room up ahead.
Iris, that's good. The reality is, though, the part of the reason I haven't been worried so much about leveling up my crafter is that I typically have been using Caneth crafting for lower level gear. And so I've really been able to craft just about anything I wanted to. And so it hasn't really been much of an issue being lower level. But at the same time, you know, I would like to raise those crafting levels. So when I took advantage, so when there was like a bonus like this past weekend, it was like, heck yeah. And I went for it, so. I finally dumped out a ton of random gen loot that I'd sort of filled up my inventory with. Did we find what we're looking for here? I haven't actually been paying enough attention.
No, it says on the bottom, find all the books in the north wing. So we have one left.
Anyone know if you have to have a decent search score, or if you just need to... Oh, here we go. Core Principles of Magic. Found it.
You found one of the books for the speech.
Excellent.
All the books in the north wing have been found.
Yeah, 375 for everything bound with no boosters. But the thing that's not something I've been worrying so much about. Have we thought about adding more designs to the in-game dice roll? That'd be fun. Perhaps if we ever did a more comprehensive UI setting, that's something we could look at. Have to admit, I'm not the greatest at this kind of thing. Ah! Like that. Yeah, I don't know why the game is rendering as pixely as it is. It's something I'm hoping to resolve in the relatively near future. It's kind of not great, but whatever. Hopefully I'll be able to figure it out.
Found a book that can be used in the speech.
I do not have that crest.
I got the crest. I'll be right there. I was just grabbing this. Grabbing the traps. Oh, and I fell.
Any plans on adding some kind of wardrobe so cosmetics don't take bank slots? We would love to do something like that. Currently, we do not have the tech in order to be able to do that. Behind the scenes, it doesn't really know whether it's a cosmetic or not, so it'll be a challenge to make that work. But it's something we would perhaps like to do in the future. If we can ever solve that problem, I suspect we will. Oh, Moktuk was low 20s on Orion? Okay, that could be. It's been a while. I don't play that character all that much, so I don't know.
You found one of the books for the speech. All the books in the East Wing have been found.
I'm going for the free chest over there. Oh, I missed the jump. But it's over there.
I like this quest a lot. It's fun. Yeah, a lot of people don't do dual streaming. I actually triple stream because I do YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. A lot of times it seems to work fine, but like I said, lately it's been a little rough, so I'm not sure if something is changing in the environment that's going to make me pick sides a little bit, but we'll see. I also love multiplication table. That's like the best. That's the best! Oops.
You spot a boy lazing on one of the tree branches, completely unconcerned with what's going on below. You've found a book that can be used in the speech. You've found one of the books for the speech. All the books in the South Wing have been found.
Alright. You were watching on Facebook, on Twitch it's working better. I mean, it is using a lot of bandwidth, especially if I'm streaming it theoretically in 1080p. I think I'm just going to have to cut it down to 720 and see if I can get it working. The reason I actually have it kicked up to 1080 is because of, again, I was recording that Cloak video yesterday, and I didn't want it to be in 720 on YouTube. I wanted it to be 1080. I forgot to switch it back. Facebook definitely wants to be a streaming platform. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we didn't see
You've found a book that can be
further encouragement in that direction by Facebook in the near future. I actually just got a thing off work just on my personal Twitch account from Facebook that was like, do you want to be a game streamer on Facebook? And I'm like, I don't know. But clearly they're reaching out to streamers and that to try to bring people to their platform.
You found one of the books for the speech. You've collected enough books to begin giving the speech. All the books in the West Wing have been found.
You know, can I be honest? I think having a clock on the UI is unnecessary. There are multiple ways in this world to tell time, up to and including a thing on your wrist, and your keyboard is right there. Just look it down slightly and save our engineers a lot of work. Yeah.
Prompted by your actions inside his memory,
I do not see many people using the Bigby's pointing hands. Are they worth using? I think situationally, they are quite nice. But it is fairly situational. You know, I don't know how many people... Particularly, like, for example, when did I use it just recently? I used it in Temple of Elemental Evil. We had someone that was going to join us in a few minutes and was not as familiar with Temple of Elemental Evil Part 1 as I was. And so being able to get them on... Oop. Oh, my client just crashed. Dang. So being able to get them to reach me in TOE Part 1 was pretty useful. So I actually used a couple of Bigby's to great effect right there. And I know that, yeah, some people were saying the hands are also very handy in Crystal Cove. Yeah, for sure. Either to mark that you've cleared out a path, or to direct, say, the torchbearer to, or the torch layer to kind of a place where they want it to be. That's useful there as well. So yeah, they're pretty cool. Sometimes using Strahd Raid. Yep, I've seen that too. Man, my game client crashed. How weird is that?
The guest of honor leans forward. Caught up in
Did my books all drop when I did that?
The books actually go to the
You've driven the intruder out
pedestal,
of the wizard's mind.
much like the
No
ruins
longer
in White Bloom.
affected by Vaspar
Cool.
Danville's spell, Terrant is able
we
to
don't carry
bring
these
his
anymore.
speech to a rousing conclusion.
Developers.
The whole strange incident is now just another memory for his collection.
Epic Memoirs of Immortality. That's such a good piece. Congrats on the Epic Memoirs.
Thank you. Three rerolls.
For cosmetics, could we create a third tab on the bank like what we have for collectibles? So the challenge with that is that right now, as it stands right now, no. Because there's no way, the system doesn't know that it's a cosmetic as opposed to a regular item. So what we'd be doing is just add more general bank space, which might well be the solution actually. But it's something we're considering. We'll see. All right, I think that's going to have to wrap it up here. That is going to wrap it up with the show. I will get you a DDO points code in the endgame mail a little bit later on today. Thanks so much for running with me. I very much appreciate it. And thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the look at Cloaks, the chat with Sev, and the questing here on Kyber. I'll be back next Wednesday on Orion. Don't know what we'll be doing. We'll just kind of be questing and having some fun there as well. We do have Samus Garobo streaming right after me, so he will be following the noob right here on DDO Stream. He's hosting here, streaming on his own channel. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye, all.